Do you have human design gate 60 constantly defined in your body? Do you feel like a victim or you just can't trust the flow of life? I've implemented a few powerful practices to help me minimize chronic pain in my body and boost my physical health. And in today's video, I'll share 3 of them with you. Make sure you stick around for the last one because that has been a big game changer for me. Plus, I'm going to throw in a little bit of tarot correspondence for you in regards to gate 60 acceptance. Hi, I'm Levane. Welcome. And I have been someone that has been living with ankylosing spondylitis. Actually, it has been living with me for over 25 years. I can't believe it. And I was in a very bad shape many years ago, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I did a lot of research. I did a lot of studies and looked into studies, and I basically became a guinea pig on myself. And I practiced different modalities, healing practices, holistic ways of healing and working with my body in all an effort to reduce pain, and I did it. Before I get started on some of the things that I have personally implemented to help me keep pain levels really low in my body, what I'm going to do in today's video, I'm going to take you through a breakdown of what we're going to discuss. So I'm going to talk about human design gate 60. I'm going to get some of the traits of it, what some of the people who have this gate, how they may experience this gate in their life and in their bodies. We'll look at the shadow limitation, which is the name of this gate by Richard Rudd from the Gene Keys. And then I'll speak a little bit about the minor arcana card associated with gate 60, which is the 5 of Swords. In case you're not familiar with human design or you're brand new to it, I encourage you to go to one of the official human design websites on the internet, and I'll leave a link to one of those below. When you go there, you can generate a free human design chart and you can learn about what your energy type is. Human design gate 60 is called acceptance. And this gate is located in the root center of the chart. So the root is also our first chakra. It's foundational. It's raw power. It's raw primal power. Now this energy is like an individual fuel. It's very powerful for those people who have this energy consistently defined in their chart. And I do want to make a note here that even if you look at your human design chart and you don't see the gate 60 in the root center defined, which means it's colored in, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't experience this energy. It just means that this energy isn't a consistent one for you. Let me tell you, this gate 60 is strong, okay? It's a lot of energy. Now, I don't have gate 60 defined in my chart, but somebody in my household does. And when the person comes near me, it's very palpable. It's like a pulsing energy, right? Going on and off. It's really strong for me because I have an open root center. And so when this person's coming into my aura, then it's magnifying my root center by 200%. The gate 60 is very strong, raw energy, power, and it's this incredible pressure to mutate, incredible pressure to make changes in one's life and make changes in the world. And people with the gate 60, one thing to keep in mind, the key takeaway is here that in the pulses, because it's a pulsating energy that goes on and off, that is in between the gaps of this pulsing energy where mutation can take place. So what happens when somebody has this gate 60 energy, they can feel really frustrated, they can feel very doubtful, they can get impatient, they can get upset, they can get really stressed out because they have this drive and this need to create something new, to bring something new into the world, and they can't figure out why it's taking so long, why it's not happening fast enough. Hence the name of the shadow limitation, and this is coming from Richard Rudd from his incredible work of the Gene Keys. Again, I highly recommend checking out the Gene Keys if you are really looking to learn more about the human design chart and just take your learning to another level. And so Richard Rudd calls this energy of this gate the limitation. It's the lower energy of gate 60. The gate name is acceptance, and I look up just about everything in the dictionary, even if I think I know what the word means, because I have found on my self-discovery journey that when I look up a word that I think I know the meaning to, well, it turns out I may have been really off, and I see like 2 or 3 other definitions of the word, and it makes me really start thinking and helps me take what I'm reading and learning to a different level. One of the definitions for acceptance is the process or fact of being received as adequate, valid, or suitable. Let's talk some astrology for a few minutes. I'm going to assume you know some of the basics of astrology. It is one of the tools that I use in addition to human design and tarot to help me manage pain in my body. Powerful, powerful, powerful. So let me just give you a little bit about the astrology of human design gate 60. And this is my own insights from my own readings and my own studyings and my own reflections of writing about what I learned. This gate is located in 2 signs in human design. So it covers the last decan of Capricorn and the first decan of Aquarius. So I'm just going to talk about Aquarius. So Aquarius is a sign of community groups, just keeping it very basic. There's a sub-ruler for every decan, and in this case it is Venus, and the card associated with the first decan of Aquarius is the 5 of Swords. In this card we have 3 people, and there's 1 person in the foreground and there's 2 people in the background. This is a card, when I look at it, it's sort of like the person in the front is like, I got one up on you. I got one up on you. What you gonna do? What you gonna do about it now? And the other 2 people in the back are looking pretty beat, right? They're looking pretty down, upset. Something has happened in this picture. Venus does not like being in this decan. Ho, 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 no, 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 no. She's about love and peace and understanding and let's be friends. And if you look at this card, there is nothing going on here about being lovey-dovey and being friends. In fact, you know, like I mentioned, there are 3 people in this key and they are looking, one's looking back, the other 2 like, you know, I got one over on you. And the other 2 people are, like I said, dejected. So to me, which one is Venus in a sense? Like, is she the one in the front of the card saying, hey, I got one over on you? Because she's got to do things that maybe she doesn't want to do to be accepted. That's when I saw the word acceptance for this gate. That's what came to my mind. You know, doing things that, you know, isn't authentic and true to your nature, but you're going along with the crowd. You're going along with the status quo. Because as I mentioned, this card also covers the last decan of Capricorn. And Capricorn is very much status quo and fitting in and going along with the crowd. So is she doing things that are not in her nature, right? And if she's doing stuff that's not in her nature, how is this showing up in her relationships? How is this showing up in her body? You know, is she getting really stressed out? Is she feeling a lot of pain in her body? This reminds me of a time when I was working in one of my previous positions. I was like the person in this 5 of Swords. If you look in the card, the one that's near the lake and has their back to the card, that was me. I felt so dejected because I couldn't understand why people that I was working with at this place and in this environment, they were not the nicest people. So it made me feel stressed out. I lost weight. Because when we're emotional about something, it can start showing up in our body. And so I look at this as, okay, limitation in what sense? Like limitation in the body, limitation of the mind. How does that affect our thinking and how does that affect the body? Let me share with you the 3 things that I do to help me mitigate this energy limitation. The first thing that I do, and I'm working on, I'm getting better at, is surrendering to source. I have done and continue to do a lot of work in this area of my life. Surrendering. And one of the reasons why it's a challenge to surrender is because we have been taught, we have been conditioned, we have been, I would say, indoctrinated by our families, by society, and even religion. This reminds me of a time when I was about 8 or 9, 10 years old, and my dad would talk to me about the way of the world. I had a really hard time dealing with arthritis flares because I didn't know what I was doing. I made a lot of mistakes. I put together this free resource for you, this free guide if you are struggling with arthritis flares and you're trying to get them under control. Go to the link in the description. It's free. Go grab it. And he would tell me about how I had to work hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. I have to work harder because I'm Black, and I have to go to university to get ahead. And I'm like 8, 9, 10 years old, sitting in here, listening to him, sitting at at his feet. Again, it reminds me of the key 5, the Hierophant, where you have the minister in the middle of the key, and you have 2 acolytes at the bottom. And I felt like one of those acolytes, the one with the lilies on the back, where I'm sitting there, listening to my dad. And my dad can't be wrong, right? Because my dad loves me and he wants to protect me and he wants me to know the ways of the world, so like I go out into the world and I can conquer the world and I can be successful. But I've realized that worldview isn't mine. That worldview was my dad's. And he was only saying these things to me because of care and like love, but they're not my beliefs. And when you hear things over and over and over and over again, they become beliefs. So I have to do a lot of work to break down beliefs that are not mine and create better beliefs, empowering ones that make me feel good. And not only make me feel good, it also is going to show up in my body as positive feelings and vibrations. It's going to help me achieve my goals, and it's going to help me get along well with other people and be better in my relationships and my partnerships. Surrendering, learning to surrender to this higher power is so helpful because it reminds me that I'm not alone. The resistance is less. And when there's a lot of resistance to something, and resistance of that you don't want to accept the way things are, then it can cause a lot of issues in your body. And in my particular case, chronic pain. Second thing that I have been implementing regularly is walking. Walking is fantastic. And I recently read in one of my books from Julia Cameron, who is the author of The Artist's Way. She says that walking is probably the most powerful thing that you can do in terms of connecting back to your creativity. But I like to walk also because when I do that, it helps me connect, it keeps me focused, it helps with ideas popping into my head. It's a time for me to be by myself, connect with nature and feel the air on my skin and just really slow down. And I love to go out for my walks. So I go out and I walk usually after having lunch, and I aim to walk for at least 20 minutes every day. The third thing that I do to help me with reducing this energy limitation in my body is releasing control. This has been such a big one for me. I'm going to say challenge because I'm not a control freak per se, but I do need to be in control of where I work, what I do, what I eat, what I buy. Releasing control has been really big because of those reasons, but I also have come to the realization that releasing control is really important because I can't control life. Life is about living, it's about learning, it's about experience, and it's about successes and it's about failures. It's not about control. Because when you go out and you learn things and you experience things, That's something that you can put into your backpack. I'm thinking of the Key Zero Fool here with the backpack on his shoulder, because these are experiences I'm collecting that I can pull out of my backpack at any time that's going to help me with whatever situation I find myself in, any kind of problem that I'm trying to suss through and understand and learn the lesson from. And with my chronic pain journey, I couldn't understand why this pain was going on in my body. And I felt like a victim. And I felt very dejected, like the figure that we see in the Five of Swords. Releasing control is a big, big thing for me. I think it's a big theme for my life to work on while I am here. It's like that saying that I think you've probably heard before: what you resist persists. Not allowing this higher power into my life has really wreaked a lot of havoc in my life. And I knew something had to change, and I had to look at a different way of living. So releasing control for me has been really big, like huge. And I continue to work on it. Here's a journaling prompt for you. Where in my life do I feel limitations? How can I begin to accept and work with these limitations instead of resisting them? There you have it. Some of the ways that I implement to help me with the shadow energy limitation of Human Design Gate 60. If you like this video, please stick around and watch the next one. This is Human Design Gate 16, which is currently transiting at the time of this video in everybody's chart in the world. So if you're curious about Gate 16, if you have it, or even if you don't have it, I encourage you to stick around and watch this video so you can learn more about Human Design Gate 16. Remember, you're beautiful and you're more powerful than you know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.